Okay, so today I want to talk about the 5 emotional states that you go through during a divorce. So you've probably heard of Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and her 5 stages of grief, right? So it's probably not a surprise that most people going through divorce are going to find themselves cycling through these stages as they grieve their marriage. And you don't go through these stages in any particular order, okay? I'm just going to review them with you. Number 1 is shock and denial. And this can be especially true if one partner has actually been contemplating it for longer than the other. So by the time they've decided to file, they have already started the grieving process months or maybe even years ago. So then the respondent is going to start off the divorce process from a very different place emotionally. And usually that starts with shock or denial or even hope. You might think that you can change the other person's mind, that they're just going through a phase, right? So denial can also manifest as shock or numbness or confusion or shutting down and avoidance. The second stage of grief and dealing with divorce is anger or feeling out of control. It's one of the most common things that people deal with during a divorce toward their spouse, towards themselves, toward professionals. It is very natural. And it's important in some ways. Anger helps us stay alive in the midst of great danger, right? And it can protect us from some emotional pain. So it's a survival strategy. However, if we don't address it and if we don't manage it and displace it, it can have really devastating consequences in the divorce process, right? So the signs of anger can include frustration and rage, obviously, impatience and resentment, and feeling out of control, and increases in behaviors like drinking or doing drugs or other self-harm. The third stage is bargaining. I promise I will never do that again. We can't do this to the kids. These are the kinds of things that you might say in the bargaining stage. You might ask yourself, what if I had only done this? Or what if I had done that? Would we be in the same place where we are now? So in a way, it's sort of an attempt to eliminate any doubt that your marriage can be saved, right? So symptoms of bargaining can include guilt and rumination and blame and overthinking and anxiety. The fourth stage is depression, and many people coping with divorce and life post-divorce experience hopelessness and sadness. And it's at this stage where reality really sets in and the pain can be unbearable because divorce is like a death, right? It's the end of this mutual dream you had about a shared life, a shared family. And although you're experiencing depression is uncomfortable and sometimes it feels unbearable, it is really, really important to move through it. And this is a really good time to bring in the support of a professional. So if you haven't yet, talk to a therapist or a support group. And symptoms of depression, you probably know it, but here they are anyway. Isolation, loss of appetite, loss of sleep, thoughts of self-harm, loss of interest in things that you used to enjoy, and also increased substance abuse. And then finally, we get to the stage of acceptance. And this is when you've gone through all the anger and denial and depression, you've worked through it, and you're coming to a peace about it. Even if you still don't like the fact that you're going to get divorced, you learn to adapt and you learn to move forward. And this is the time where you can see the fog lifting and you can see the road ahead. And you're able to practice more self-compassion and you can tolerate those feelings of vulnerability. You're coping and you're adapting, right? So it's important to understand, I think, that these stages aren't linear, right? So you can go through them in any order and you can experience more than one stage at a time. And again, you and your spouse are probably not going to be experiencing these stages in tandem either. You might be raging and she might be in denial or vice versa. And eventually, in an ideal world, both of you will eventually get to the stage of acceptance. But it takes a while, it takes support, and it takes bravery, right, to move through those stages of anger and depression. It's inevitable and it's painful, but you will get there.